Chamel Abdulkarim. I'm going to bring everybody up to speed who's not. And I think probably 50% of people are aware of that situation. He lit his employer's warehouse on fire.
Of paper products.
Of paper products. He had fuel. Not everybody has that fuel.
Yeah, but the paper is definitely...
he used a lighter, and once it got going... Did they say 1.5 million square feet?
Yeah, that's a lot of trees, basically. That's one big roundabout way of having a huge forest fire. And again, in California, imagine that.
So it's a really big warehouse, and as he lit the stacks of paper towels, he was just saying in his video that he posted, all you had to do was pay us, not me, but us. All you had to do was pay us a livable wage.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of argument online. What did he make? Because it was a Kimberly-Clark warehouse, and people say, well, they start at $22 an hour. And people said, hold on.
You're getting
Hold on. Let me just give you
those
details.
People. Ugh.
And they say, well, in California, they would have paid $28. And then someone says, well, he was hired through a temp agency that starts at $16.50. And the numbers are all over the place. I take it
he lost that job with the temp agency.
They're probably, to make an example, will give him life in prison. There's a chance it'll just be 10 years, but...
Either way, though, he's treated as a felon for basically, I guess, arson, this would be categorized as.
Plus whatever special qualifier they can pin him on something else.
Yeah.
But, and the value of the arson ups the charge.
Okay, that's true.
Because it's
yeah.
$100 million potentially worth of product.
Yeah, inventory as well as the facility as well, I'm sure.
So. Comment sections on things about this incident. Most of the people in the comments are pro the guy. It's like the company was committing an act of violence by not paying him a livable wage, because has anyone tried to live on $22 an hour in California? It can't be done. Things like that. And sure, I agree with that. The few comments, they are generally hitting on three arguments that are for the company or against him, like the pro-billionaire crowd.
Well, the devil's advocates.
Okay, says
you're always going to have that. But
there's a few things they say.
People are getting muddled in the details here. The overall picture, if you don't miss the forest for the trees here in this situation, is that here's a guy doing a valuable job for a very valuable company that's barely making it in a state that's almost unlivable.
He can't make it.
At a blue collar life, no, you can't.
That's what some people don't understand. If you live with someone who pays 100% of the household expenses, and even just paying a cell phone, a car note, or just car maintenance, registration, and fuel,
especially now,
you could eclipse that $22 an hour, especially with California income tax, state tax, really quickly without even paying anything for a household. But people kind of don't get that. What it really comes down to is literally, you would have to have enough credit to float you every month until your credit runs out, or until you can't get any more, because you're literally working full time and falling behind every single month. That is going on across America right now. People are using their credit for groceries, not for that splurge vacation or whatever. They're using their credit for their regular bills and falling further behind. Also, the data suggests that instead of people taking vacations, they are using their time off to sleep, like they're resting at the house and stuff, because they are burnt out. But back to the arguments and the devil's advocates, as you called them. So people say, and I'm going to lump two of them together. He agreed to work for that wage. Like, hey, he agreed to do this. What's his big problem? And he could have just found another job.
I hate that, just that subtle, nonchalant, he agreed to do this job. Yeah, like we all just agreed to work collectively as a society, and that was the job he chose. No, he took it out of circumstance, I'm sure, to his individual lifestyle or whatever it may be.
And for many years, people have said, well, you need to get skills and get better skills and get a better job. I think what some of these don't understand is it's really becoming free-range slavery, and we are going to see more and more of it. But what I mean is, he could just get another job that pays still the same shit.
Well,
that doesn't pay enough. It doesn't matter if he job hopped. There's no one that's just going to say, "I'll send you that life raft. I'll give you the golden goose here. You're safe here with our company."
The ocean's all the same. Everyone knows what everyone's paying, and everyone's in that respect's in bed with each other.
Yeah, the companies
the
are
market
in bed.
Competition, in other words.
Yeah, thanks to the internet, it's one kind of big monopoly in some ways.
Thanks, internet.
But yeah, he could take another job. It's still not going to get him that monthly cash flow that will keep his head above water.
I've always said after the Civil War, the South was still, into slavery. It was through wages, though, and non-regulation, so companies could get away with it. And the South is notorious for that, which is why we still don't have unions. We still don't have workers' rights the way other parts of the country do. We even still don't really have a minimum wage. I mean, the $7.25 is laughable, even for teenagers and part-timers.
Minimum wage hasn't been updated, and that's a big problem. But, and it needs to.
And southern states are okay with it. They don't make their own minimum wage. Cities do. Some cities maybe are outliers, but like California took it upon themselves. You'll see like a lot of New York and Massachusetts, New England states took it upon themselves, but no one in the South.
Minimum wage needs to be based on a consumer price index that has a set of standard bills attached to it, and that if you pay 20 an hour to fast food workers, and that raises the price of a burger and raises the price of
doesn't have to.
Goods at Walmart,
it doesn't.
Then we'll raise the minimum wage again. I mean, that's the game. It's like, if it's going to even be a thing with the minimum wage, it's far behind.
Well, it should be regional, because that's the way the cost of living is. You got different states with different taxes and different regulations on those taxes, and because of that, it's got to be. Honestly, states should take it upon themselves, and they should have a yearly assessment, and that's how important it is.
The other argument in comments is,
especially after this year of inflation.
Oh man, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. The other argument in the comments,
a lot of comments,
is that he now has hurt the other workers because they're out of a job, and the company, will get an insurance payout that actually makes them money. They'll profit off this. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. They're going to get paid.
You think it's more about the message more so than the aftermath of the act?
Well, clearly the message resonated.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about
Imagine
this.
This
is not just us. A lot of people are talking about it. So it clearly hit home with like a lot of people, right? So the idea that, well, no problem, they'll get the insurance payout, where they may or may not. But if other workers get put to the test, like this gentleman,
feet to the fire.
We're driving towards the cliff, and I've explained this. We're going to see stuff like this kick off, because when you get in that cycle, and no matter what you do, you just can't get ahead. You are falling further behind until you're insolvent. You can't do anything. You're stuck, and you can't survive. You can't afford dental care or whatever is just like really easily possible in the USA with the resources we have, if not for the greed. But anyway, you're at the end of your rope. Here's your options. You kill yourself.
Oh, wow.
Well, hold on.
That's the first option.
That's self-delete. You kill yourself. You just plain give up. You either become homeless, or you tell your family, hey, I know I've been saying things were tough and y'all didn't quite believe me, but I'm going to the fucking mental institute. Like, I am done.
Yeah, fuck you guys. I'm thinking about me.
Someone did that at our work this week, by the way.
Where, at the hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see them checking themselves into Marshall Pickens.
So,
of Staunton.
Of Staunton, yes. The other option is like, I'm going to go out swinging. And that's kind of what this guy did. I think more people will say, man, I did what I was supposed to do, what I was told to do, what society trained me through high school, that this is how society works. I followed the rules. I got fucked. I'm going to fight back.
I became a warehouse worker at Kimberly-Clark.
Yeah, well, I don't know who. Well, that's another thing. there are still good opportunities. There are still good job opportunities, but there's not enough to go around for every skilled, effective, hardworking person.
Was there ever a time, though? I mean, maybe like in
the boomers had it pretty good, and they're still holding the reins and, and in control,
but I mean, like,
and that's where the rub comes against them. And I'm not like totally against
I was
the
going to say,
generation.
they probably had like 20 good years of it, but it's just kind of like...
Well, a lot of them didn't really have control. So there's like a select group of boomers took that orange and squeezed it and still got a grip on it. Like, it's not all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, definitely with the entrepreneurs, I'd agree with you with there from like the 40s to the 60s.
People started companies, got the leverage, and then lobbied for legislation that made it harder to enter their field.
Yeah, in other words, you'd have to sell out at a certain plateau of success, because to go against them would be like David and Goliath. You'd lose every time in all practicality, because they just simply have deeper pockets, more resources, and more connections.
It was easier to start a business 40 years ago. Now there's red tape that you may not have the money to cut through, but they were already grandfathered in.
I hate red tape.
But, the idea that everybody's just going to take it on the chin and just be like, oh, well, this really sucks, it ain't going to happen. When people's kids are going hungry and they just can't figure it out, and their wife's leaving them or their husband's leaving.
Or to go where? To go where? Still America. Still, you can go outside the house, still shitty.
Well, a lot of people are trying to leave the country. Like, a lot of people are trying to leave.
And depending on which country, though, Puerto Rico, though, is an interesting caveat. If you're on the cusp of retiring, look at there. I mean, your dollar goes a lot further there, and you can have a similar lifestyle. Not the same, I stress that, but similar.
So ethically, it is not ethical to burn up your employer's building. That's not ethical.
No, you only burned up in buildings you own.
But it was also not ethical for the employer and their act of violence, which was taking full advantage of you and bending you straight over and sticking it in. That was unethical too. That was an act of violence by them when they exploited you a little bit too much.
I wouldn't have. Burning the place down or blowing someone's head off, let's say.
Well, they struck first, is what my point is.
Yeah.
And while making record profits, not every company's made record profits, but it's a big enough problem that a lot of them have.
I'd like to think that he tried looking for another job and his circumstance just wouldn't allow the feasibility of finding anything better, even though what he had wasn't enough. I'd like to think that.
Ooh, I don't know what he was thinking. I just know that a lot of people are chiming in, and most of them think that
Did you go on Indeed, dude? Did you try looking for another job, or just...
Let me ask you,
just say,
why are the majority of comments, by far, saying, yeah, that might have been a valid crash out? Why are they like that?
It's the same thing like working at the post office, the term going postal. Yeah. People don't realize how hard some people have it until something like this happens. Same thing can be said about fast food employees. You may understand the job is easy to, in the sense of understanding the job. It's not easy to do day in and day out.
So there's rumors of, sorry, machine keeps kicking on.
Oh no, I don't hear anything.
No.
Yeah.
There's rumors of other warehouse fires, and some of them are debunked. Solar panels caught on fire on the roof of an Amazon warehouse.
Rebellious solar-powered panels.
Yeah.
Very progressive-leaning panels.
No one lit that one on fire. The solar just overheated.
Well, we're investigating the sun as a potential, accomplice.
Anyway, there's some other rumors, but they're not getting the media attention. Probably because they either aren't happening or whoever lit them did not make a video to self-incriminate their self.
On a side note, though, Kimberly Clark is getting some great advertisement.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently that was the main warehouse for Costco. Now, I kind of know how these things go. They supplied other stores too, even if it was under a different brand.
Yeah.
Like the same production line will put a different label on their stuff, and someone else is buying it and selling it under a different label.
I realize that. The same thing's true with all the microbreweries and the microbrew beer. That's how microbrew beer gets made. Like, you'll have Anheuser-Busch taking the recipe and using their facilities and bottling basically on a lease to make whatever fucking microbrew like comes to them and they work out a deal on.
Anyway, it's coming to a head. We've got foreclosures are holding really high at a little bit over $40,000 a month.
But the weather's turned nice.
Which year over year is a 32% increase. So it's up.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering now, I think one thing that was propping up the housing market was the real estate investment trust, BlackRock or whatever. I don't know if they're going to be as eager to buy right now. If it gets cheap enough, they will. But they also know that now they can't buy high and then hope to rent if people are just bustos. So they've got their spreadsheets and figures and things. I don't know how long they're going to prop up the market. Maybe they continue to prop it up. There's a chance.
Gotta give them props. Shout out BlackRock.
There's other things at play. I mean, a lot of people want their assets to hold value, and there's a lot of things behind the scenes that help that. But
I was about to say, assets usually in a bad economy rise with value. People who depend on currency, on the actual money in the economy, typically do worse.
Well, probably the only viewpoint I have is 2008. I moved to Vegas right after the big crash, and they crashed. The real estate there, value-wise, crashed twice as hard as it did everywhere else. Like you could buy a condo for $32,000. Like, and I wished I had. And if my circumstance had been different, I would have. But I, wound up getting divorced just as soon as I got there, and it took all my money.
We were still young.
But regardless,
we were still young.
Well, I knew it was a good deal, though.
No. In my neighborhood, dude, I had 3 houses that were foreclosed on and up for sale, and I could have gotten like easily a 3-bed, 2-bath for like $98,000.
Right. Well, there, when it came back equally by that multiplier. So if you had $100,000 and had bought the house here, you would have done good. But if you had bought one for $100,000 there, you would have done twice as good.
Yeah,
it'd now be $500K, and here it'd be $270 or whatever. It would have done better. It came roaring back, but the rental market stayed pretty strong there because people still had jobs. They still had their life set up in that city, and they weren't going to just say, "Well, my house foreclosed, so let me move to South Carolina." They stayed in Vegas.
Yeah.
And so it pushed the rentals pretty hard.
I wonder if that started the trend of having like these little duplex neighborhoods pop up where like I see so many subdivisions now being built. The trend is they're all rented rental units. None of them are rent to own, and none of them are available on a mortgage.
So will this time be different? I don't know. If we have a crash similar to 2008, which, a lot of people say, well, yeah, we did, and the housing market was kind of falsely propped up, and now we're about to pay the price double, and who knows, but we'll see. But rental will still hold pretty strong.
It goes back to the assets. If you owned rental property or had property for rental units, you're doing very well. but so many people now have adopted the lifestyle of never owning a house, like the having the hassle-freeness of having a landlord take care of the
I think the main benefit though maintenance is with that, if your job is not acting right, you can apply anywhere in the country, and if that one place that gives you a fair shake, you can go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, to me, the main benefit. Even if you have to uproot your whole family and go, you're making twice as much or whatever, and with that anchor of that home, you can't necessarily accept a job and they're like, yeah, we'll wait until you sell your place, 100% guaranteed, we'll hold it and wait for you. That type of deal is pretty rare. You're pretty far up the food chain before you even get a deal like that. Most companies like Michelin, when they really want someone, they'll just buy your house immediately at market value to help you just go ahead and move. But for the average worker,
that's sweet of them.
It is, and they did it for my cousin. But for the average worker, that's not a thing.
Yeah, they're not going to do it for the guy working in the warehouse setting shit on fire.
And to my point, though, even if you have completely free a free house now, the pay still is getting bad. So, man, this is a dirty mess. And
well, right now, gas is the biggest thing that's altering a lot of people's lifestyles.
Unless you have a chronic health issue, and then that's the big thing. Like, there's so many wonks that could get you.
Well, but I mean, like, as far as the ebb and flow of the economy and stuff, it's like, unfortunately, the war in Iran that's something that didn't need to happen, or at least not happen the way it did, to affect us like it did. Now it's kind of like, even if we were to end it tomorrow, it would still take, I'd say, probably a better part of a year before things got back to normal in the supply chain.
Sure. And you're directly affected by price at the pump. You're indirectly affected because diesel moves everything.
Yeah. Already at my job, we've changed trucking schedules just to conserve, just the logistics of conserving energy.
Yeah, squeeze it a little harder, which gives the driver less miles, and then the driver gets squeezed, and it's a whole domino effect.
Yeah. And we get bigger trucks now.
Trains run on diesel. Big ocean liners run on diesel. Trains have electric engines that turn the wheels now, but they have a generator on board that's a diesel generator.
Yeah.
That's been a thing for a long time, and I think most people know that, but not everybody knows that. They still run on diesel is what it boils down to, in the USA anyway.
Don't worry, they still raw. They still hit it. They're still OG. Thomas the Tank Engine still got that diesel.
That's about all I got. I mean, I could keep going, but that's all I got on the warehouse thing.
Yeah.
Essentially, the arguments against it, like, this guy, why? That's rude. He could have got a different job.
Well, I'd like to think that he tried. I'd like to think he would have if he tried. Like, it doesn't sound like he thought it all the way through unless he wanted to go to jail the rest of his natural life. But they always say for acts like this, you need a sacrifice. Usually it's self-sacrifice, but in this instance, this guy, is just serving jail time. So I guess kind of like a political prisoner to the system of capitalism, or late-stage capitalism, as I've heard it coined.
I can look at it so many different ways as to what it would take to have your household in order. It almost takes two people, unless the one person earns, throw out a number because it depends the city, but $100,000. I mean,
yeah,
I could do better on less, but I could see where a lot of people
live. If people live
need
responsibly, I'd like to think just about anywhere you can have what we would consider a middle class lifestyle for $100,000 in America.
Most places, maybe not New York City,
maybe not LA, but definitely Montgomery, Alabama. You'd probably be damn near a millionaire.
Yeah, yeah. So it either takes two earners at an average rate that are pretty good working together, and we know how well men and women are getting along now for the long term.
I know. The communication is just spectacular.
I suspect that a lot of people are living off old money. I see...
our generation is set to inherit that old money, about $70 trillion worth of assets and liquid cash.
Yeah, however much is left. So I'm not going to say single moms. I'm going to say single parents. They're still going, well, you see, they're a medical assistant,
yeah,
and they make $15 an hour and maybe 20. They're still taking their kids to Disney World and all the little festivals every weekend, and they're paying rent somehow. It's like, okay, you've got a government assistance for your rent, or you qualified for food stamps, or I think grandpa's paying for that, but that well is depleting.
If it's cash, yes, and it's losing value.
And they're happy to do it. That's their grandkids.
Yeah.
That's their kids. That's their prerogative. I just don't know that next generation, when those kids grow up,
yeah, is
there going to be anything left to keep that thing going? I don't think there is. There won't be nearly as much.
Well, it just comes down to they inherit money or assets. Assets are more valuable in the long term.
Yeah, definitely.
The money, I don't necessarily blame them throwing away because it's losing value literally before our eyes, for our generation at least. So it's like, hey, if it buys Disneyland today, go to Disneyland, make some memories.
Let me add a point to that. The idea of, hey, let's tax the billionaires. Tax? So that what? They can give it to the government, and then the government can still misappropriate it and still print money even on top of that and spend it. It's like, it's an okay idea about, quote, tax the billionaires, but for what? Our money's still going to get devalued because they're going to print the shit out of it. And
I guess it takes some different style politics from a different style politician, with different voters coming out to vote, and not for anyone like Donald Trump who just says anything on his mind. Someone with an actual plan.
If our government ran strictly on tax dollars, and we were not increasing the available money supply, okay, maybe that would work. Tax billionaires more heavily than we currently are. But that's not how it works. The money supply is increasing steadily, rapidly.
Yeah.
So, that's just a tidbit I had to throw in there.
One thing, another thing, when the economy's typically doing bad, like stocks are generally devalued. A lot of people with a lot of money in stocks typically buy government bonds because they're insured by the government. So the only thing they want to do is to prop the government up to keep those bonds insured. Now, what a bond is, in case you don't know, is them basically giving the money to the government on a loan with interest, basically.
We said this and I might post it. We recorded with Bill a couple weeks ago. Maybe we'll post it as a second episode. I don't know. Maybe we will. I brought up the point, the government may have to swap our currency to a new currency to pay off our debt if our military still can't be a bully to say, well, we rule anyway. Yeah, we owe the whole world $100 trillion, but you know what? What are you going to do about it? Extend our credit. We need more money, and we'll send it back to you in a kind of circle pattern, and just fill your pockets while you have it, and then we'll set up some shell companies and stuff our pockets. But we may have to swap to a new currency, and then U.S. dollars are so devalued. Oh yeah, we'll pay our debts. Here you go. It's worthless, but you're paid off. He said the French had to do that. He also listed the two currencies that they swapped from, and I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
And something else.
It doesn't. This isn't a test, and it doesn't matter. The point is, the point.
But I don't know how it's all going to play out. I really don't, and I don't even have too strong of a theory because, let's be honest, world politics. There's just a lot going on. But you do have to admit, without calling this Iran deal a world war, it's having global effects.
Well, I think any conflict around oil,
everybody's kind of sitting back thinking, what's China going to do? Like they're almost waiting for, they're waiting to see what China's going to do. Anyway, it's a global thing, and that's all I got. I have more.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. Very overstimulated. The government needs to think about changing the way they view debt, because just changing the way you view debt doesn't change the way debt affects you. And it may not be our generation, Rob, but definitely the next or the one after that, they're gonna start reaping what we sow, and our generation so far has sown a sack of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So just to beat the old same drum.
You gotta help yourself before you can help others, though. Like you have to be in a position to help, and a lot of us haven't been able to get in that position.
People need to change their voting habits, and it needs to start locally, because that hopefully will eventually affect the network and eventually start manipulating the tight-knit community at the top of politics. But
I've been waiting for the organic solution, as I've said. Like politics is one thing, and we need laws and we need structure.
Yeah, we need more boundaries, more structure as far as preventing the things that keep us from accomplishing the common problems we all have as a society. Whether you're politically right or left, there's some things that we both can agree on are just being wasted upon. And yet no one addresses that. They want to talk about gays and abortion, and it's like, okay, are we done? Or trans and abortion.
I feel like we're going to get close to like where we stop talking about that, because it's just going to boil down to
no one's going to care when you don't have any health care, and like you said, no one's going to care when they can't feed their kids and their family. It's no one's going to care about who's getting an abortion or who's reading library books to children. You know what I mean? It gets to a point. Like I said to your brother, it's like, when do these problems that persist every day and even affect you personally every day that you know could be solved, when do they trump abortion?
Everything else. When do they?
Yeah, when do they trump? Yeah, whatever keeps you on that one-sided political view.
In other words, water's important until you don't have air.
Yeah, would you stop voting for the same letter? Whatever that letter is, I challenge any voter listening to at some point in time in your voting record to stop voting for the same letter just once. There's no silver bullet ideology, and no one is 100% right or wrong.
If you're still listening, please comment, and I will answer your question.
Don't comment to me. I'll just ignore you.
Yeah, Todd.
I'll ghost the fuck out of you.
Basically, middle finger to your face, but
not even that. I won't even be there to do that.
No.
I'll send it by
indifference.
A
he
telegram.
Doesn't care.
I'll send it by a telegram.
And that's Warehouses on Fire.
And that's wrapping it up the story with Rob singing in the distance.
We'll do some more zany stuff soon. We like to come off the rails, and
I'm still on the rails. I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever. We have serious conversations, and then we have the inner workings of Staunton.
Check out our YouTube page if that's not what you're listening to right now. And if you are listening to our YouTube page, check out our RSS. It just gets more ridiculous.
Yeah, we haven't been posting to RSS lately. We might start back, which distributes to all the audio platforms.
We don't
Spotify, Apple Music.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, but you don't care about that. I'm just telling you what to do. I don't need to give you a life story. You're going to sit there, you're going to listen, and you're going to enjoy it. You know why? Because you're a listener, and that's what we're here for.
Good night, everybody. But I'm trying to have a different take here, and I do. Something to think about.